Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In today's session, we will explore about Prometheus PushGateway, which is an essential tool for managing short-lived job metrics in Prometheus monitoring setup. We will uncover its role in ensuring comprehensive visibility into dynamic environment. So in today's session, we will learn about the Prometheus PushGateway. Then we will learn about its architecture and what are the use cases of the push gateway. We will also explore its benefits and the challenges of Prometheus Push Gateway. Then we will learn about some best practices for using Prometheus Push Gateway. And, and then we will simply install the Prometheus Push Gateway on our Ubuntu server. So before that, you need to follow some prerequisites. So you need to have an AWS Ubuntu server, so in which we can install the Prometheus Push Gateway. Then we will learn some installation steps, so which can help to run Prometheus Push Gateway on our Ubuntu server. So this includes steps like installation, then we will start the Push Gateway, and then we will access the Push Gateway on the browser, followed by the conclusion. And the port which, which is to be enabled are 9090, which is of Prometheus, and 9100, which is of Node Exporter, and 9091, which is the default port to run the Prometheus push gateway. So let's start. So what is Prometheus? So Prometheus is an open source monitoring and alerting toolkit designed for reliability and scalability in modern and dynamic environments. So Prometheus is developed by the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So Prometheus excels at collecting and storing time series data, allowing users to gain valuable insights into the performance and health of their application and infrastructure. So with its powerful query language and support for multi-dimensional data, Prometheus has become popular choice for monitoring system with cloud native ecosystem. Now let's move forward and understand what is Prometheus Push Gateway. So Prometheus Push Gateway serves as a bridge for jobs that cannot be scraped directly by Prometheus due to the ephemeral nature. So it allows these jobs to push their metrics to metrics cache, so which will enable Prometheus to collect them. So let's take an example. So consider a batch job that runs periodically to process data and generate metrics. Since the job's lifestyle is short-lived, it may not have a long-lived endpoint for Prometheus to scrape. So in such cases, the job can push its metrics to push gateway, so which stores them temporarily. So then the Prometheus scraps the metric from push gateway, ensuring that they are collected and analyzed despite the job's transit nature. Now let's learn about the architecture of the Prometheus push gateway. So here you can find the article of Prometheus push gateway on the forsttechnics.com website. And if you go below and if you click on the architecture, here you can find the architecture of Prometheus push gateway. So it includes push gateway server, metrics cache, HTTP interface, temporary storage, and the scrape metrics, then labeling support and high availability consideration. So let's break down the term and understand one by one. So push gateway server is a standalone component that exposes an HTTP endpoint. So this endpoint is where jobs or services can push their metrics data. Then the metric cache. The push gateway acts as a metric cache which will store metrics pushed by the jobs or services until they are scrapped by the Prometheus. So this caching mechanism ensure that Prometheus can collect the metrics from the short-lived or batch job. Then is the HTTP interface. So push gateway provides a simple HTTP interface that allows jobs or services to push metrics using the HTTP post request. So metrics are typically pushed with the job name and optional grouping labels. Then is the temporary storage. So push gateway stores metrics temporarily, allowing Prometheus to scrape them until they are overwritten or expired. The metrics are associated with specific jobs, allowing Prometheus to differentiate between different types of metrics. Then is the expiry mechanism. The push gateway provides an expiry mechanism for metrics to prevent the accumulation of stale data. So metrics can be configured with a TTL, which means time to live, after which they are automatically deleted from the push gateway. Then is the Prometheus scraping. So Prometheus scrapes the metrics from the push gateway HTTP endpoint at regular intervals. So during scraping, Prometheus collects these metrics pushed by the job or services and integrate them into the time series data on the Prometheus server. Then is the labeling support. So push gateway supports labeling of metrics, which allow jobs or services to include additional metadata with their metrics. So these labels help in organizing and querying metrics effectively within the Prometheus. And to ensure the high availability, it's recommended to deploy push gateway in a redundant configuration with proper monitoring and alerting mechanism. So in summary, the push gateway acts as a bridge between short-lived jobs or services and Prometheus, providing a mechanism for pushing the metrics over the HTTP. Now we'll move on forward and understand the use cases of Prometheus push gateway. So it can use for short-lived or batch jobs. Push batch jobs. So push gateway is ideal for collecting metrics from short-lived or batch-oriented jobs that don't have long-lived endpoints for scripting. Then it can be used for inference workloads. So in dynamic environments like container orchestration platform, for example, Kubernetes, where instance of services can be created and destroyed frequently. So this push gateway provides a mechanism for collecting metrics from inference workloads. Then it can be used for multi-step workflows. So push gateway as facilitates the aggregation of metrics from multi-step workflows or processes, allowing different stages of a process to push their metric for centralized monitoring. Then it can be used for external service monitoring. So it can be used to monitor metrics from external services or systems that are not directly scrapable by Prometheus, such as services running in isolated networks or behind the firewall. Then it can be used for batch processing system, so which is commonly used to monitor metrics from batch processing system where the jobs run periodically and need to push their metrics upon completion. Then it can be used in dynamic push gateway can be used in dynamic environments. So for any scenario where the number of targets or instances is highly dynamic and configurable, Prometheus can be used to scrape them individually, which is not feasible. So in this scenario, push gateway can be used. Now let's learn some benefits and what are the challenges if we use Prometheus push gateway. So first we will learn about some benefits. So it support for short-lived jobs. So it allows short-lived or batch jobs to push their metrics to Prometheus, which will ensure that metrics are collected even from inference workload. Then as we have learned that push gateway can be used in dynamic environment, which is compatible with dynamic environment like container orchestration platforms where instances can be created and destroyed frequently. Then push gateway facilitates centralized collection of metrics from various sources, including multi-step workflows and external services for unified monitoring. And with the help of push gateway, it defines simplified monitoring setup. So which simplifies monitoring setup by providing a mechanism for targets without long-lived endpoints to expose their metrics to Prometheus. Now let's learn about some challenges of push gateway of using Prometheus push gateway. So by using Prometheus push gateway, there is an increase in complexity. So which introduces additional complexity to the monitoring infrastructure compared to traditional scrapping methods, which is potentially requiring more careful management and monitoring. And there is a risk of stale data, which means metrics pushed to the push gateway may become stale if not updated regularly, which will lead to inaccurate monitoring and analysis. And there could be a potential single point of failure by using push gateway, as push gateway can become a single point of failure if it is not properly managed or if it is experiences downtime impacting the ability of metrics. And challenges like security consideration, which requires careful consideration of security practices to ensure that access to push gateway endpoint is properly secured to prevent unauthorized access or tampering with metrics data. So despite of these challenges, Prometheus Push Gateway remains a valuable tool for collecting metrics from short-lived or dynamic targets, so which will provide essential functionality for monitoring modern and dynamic environments. Now let's understand what are the best practices for using Prometheus Push Gateway. So to effectively implement Prometheus Push Gateway, consider the following best practices like labeling metrics, avoid overwriting, expiration policies, and security consideration, as well as monitoring push gate. So learn one by one. So labeling metrics, which include appropriate labels in your metrics to distinguish different job instances or types. Then we should avoid overwriting. So which will ensure metrics pushed to the push gateway have unique identifiers to prevent overwriting. Then is the expiration policies. So set the expiration policies for metrics in the push gateway to avoid accumulating stale data. Security consideration where secure access to the push gateway endpoint should be prevented from the unauthorized access. Then is to monitor the push gateway instance itself to ensure the availability and the performance. Now, as we have learned about the prerequisites, we will move on to forward. So we will now run the Prometheus push gateway on our Ubuntu server. So first step is to install Prometheus push gateway. So let's move on to our server. So with the help of MobaXterm tool, I have connected my server. So simply clear this, simply type sudo apt update, so which will update your system. Now, so the most convenient way to install is to visit the GitHub page for Prometheus push gateway releases and download the binaries from there. So you can download the binary from the GitHub as well as you can refer this article to download the Prometheus push gateway. So after the best practices, here you can see the command to install the Prometheus push gateway. So here is the GitHub where the Prometheus push gateway, and if you go on releases, and here you can see, as we are currently using a Linux server, so you can just simply click on copy link address and type here wget command and simply paste that link here to install the Prometheus gateway. So there is a network error. So we will restart the server. Now just type again and enter. So as you can see, push gateway has been downloaded successfully. So we will just verify this. So here you can see push gateway has been downloaded successfully. Now we will, as it is in tar, we need to untar it like zip and unzip the files. So we need to extract the push gateway folder. So simply type tar xvf and the file name. So as you can see, we have extracted all the folders inside the push gateway file. Now, if you type list here you can find the push gateway directory. So simply type cd and enter into that push gateway directory. So now simply start the push gateway with the command. In previous session, we have started the node exporter. So simple, you need to just type dot and slash with the name which is push gateway. So it has been started successfully, and here you can find the port where the push gateway runs. So now it has been installed and downloaded successfully, and we have run the push gateway also successfully. So now we will see this on our browser. So we will access the Prometheus push gateway on the browser. So here copy the instance IP followed by the port number, which is 9091. So you need to enable this port from the security groups, where you need to edit the inbound rules of the instance and enter a custom TCP and enable this port to open the push gateway page. So here you can find the push gateway metrics, status, and help. So here in status, here you can see the runtime information, the build information, and the startup flags. So these are the default options given by the push gateway, which will work well in most of the cases. So let's understand. So let's understand the startup flags one by one. So first is the web listen address. So here you can find that it is enabled on port 9091. So which is the IP optional and port pair on which it listens the request. Next is the web telemetry path. So here you can find the web telemetry path, which is under the metrics, which consist of both user sent and internal ones of the push gateway, which will be exposed. Next is the web external URL. So URL on which push gateway is externally available. So useful if you expose it via some domain name. Next is the web root prefix. So here you can find the web root prefix. So if specified, then uses this as a prefix for all of the routes. Then is the web enable lifecycle. So which is set to false. So this web enable lifecycle is set to false. So if specified, then it lets you to shut the push gateway via the API. Then is the web enable admin API. So if specified, then it enables the admin API. So it will let you perform certain destructive action. More on that in the following section. Then is the persistent file. So if specified, then the push gateway write his state to this file every persistence dot interval time period. Next is the persistence interval. We can set up to 5 minutes. So it will define how often the state should be returned to the previously specified file. Then is the push disable consistency check. So if specified, then the metrics are not checked for correctness at ingestion time. So it should not be specified in the absolute majority of cases. Then is the log level, which is equal to info. So one of the debug info one error, which will only print messages with levels higher than that. Next is the log format. So log format possible values are log format or JSON. So each will specify JSON if you want structured log that could be used with for example like Elastic Search. So these are some startup flags you should know. So you can learn this startup flags from the article also. So now we will conclude for today. So in conclusion, Prometheus Push Gateway provides a vital solution for capturing metrics from short-lived or batch jobs, enabling effective monitoring in dynamic environments. So with its straightforward integration, temporary metric storage, and seamless compatibility with Prometheus, Push Gateway enhances system observability, aiding in troubleshooting and performance optimization effort. So thank you for watching my video. Please do like, share, and subscribe my channel. So see you in the next video. Thank you.